My name is Mary and this is Quinn Inc. And today I'm going to teach you the 4 different stitches that you're going to be using in crochet. The first stitch that we're going to be learning is going to be a slip stitch, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of like a knitting type of stitch, just more tight knit together. The next one we're going to be learning is single crochet. This one's a really pretty one. The next one we're going to be learning is half double crochet. And the very last one we're going to be learning is double crochet. And I'm going to show you how to do each of these 4 stitches. These are the 4 that you're going to be using throughout any project. You'll use probably one more than the other. Some like to use double crochet more than they like to use single crochet, or they like to integrate it with half double crochet. The reason why you're going to want to learn slip stitch is there are some projects out there where people will use the slip stitch as an actual stitching and making a really neat little project with it. You will also use slip stitches to end projects, sometimes to end certain rows, or just anywhere in your project. So the first one we're going to get started with is the slip stitch. So let's grab our pink yarn. So the tools that you are going to be needing are going to be a crochet hook, and today I'm using an I9 5.5 millimeter hook. If you are a beginner, this is a good crochet hook to start off with and start to get to know and use. The next thing you're going to be needing is a yarn needle to sew in any of your strings if you would like to, and a pair of scissors to cut your strings. And then we're also going to be using the yarn that you see right behind me. So we have the light pink yarn for the slip stitch, the hot pink yarn for the single crochet, the aqua for the half double crochet, and the light gray over there for the double crochet. So I'm going to grab the light pink one and I'm going to show you how to start the slip stitch. Okay, so we have our pink yarn. And to start any project, you're always going to want to make a slip knot. And to make a slip knot, you're going to take your first finger and middle finger, your yarn, wrap it around your fingers like this, hold it with your right hand and pull out. So now you have this loop. You're going to grab your yarn and pull it behind the loop, grab your hook and grab the yarn, kind of pull it out of the loop, and then take your left hand and pull on it. And I like to pull the 2 apart so I know which one is my tail and which one is my working yarn. And then I kind of pull up on them. And now I have this little loop on my hook. We're going to be doing the slip stitch. Now I'm not going to start with a chain. I did that for years and I did not like it. I am actually going to start, as you can see down here, with the foundation single crochet. If you would like to, you can start with a chain and then you can start your slip stitch. I like this way better because I can actually see where my single crochet, foundation single crochet is and where my slip stitches are. This is also really neat too because you can put little fringes in here or use them as little buttonholes. So let's get started with the foundation single crochet. So you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. So you have 2 chains on your hook. You're going to go back into the first one right here. Grab your working yarn and pull up a loop. Grab your working yarn and pull up another loop. Grab your working yarn and pull through 2 loops. So what you're pretty much doing is you're going to be making a chain and a single crochet at the same time. I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to go under these 2 bars, grab my working yarn, pull up a loop, grab my working yarn, pull up a loop, grab my working yarn and pull through the last 2 loops on my hook. So I just created 2 chains and 2 single crochets. I'm going to do that one more time. Under the 2 bars, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop, grab your working yarn, pull through the first loop, grab your working yarn and pull through the last 2 loops. So we have 3 single crochets. Now when I did this little sample, I actually did 10 foundation single crochets. I think we're going to do 5 to kind of shorten it. So we just made 3, so we just have to make 2 more foundation single crochets. So you're always going to go under those 2 bars nearest your hook right here. And you're always going to be working on the bottom of your work when you're doing a foundation single crochet. So that's number 4. And then the very last one is going to be number 5. And sometimes your yarn can kind of split, so be careful with that. So there we are. So we have 5 foundation single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stitches on the top, as you can see through these V stitches. Now in order to start this slip stitch, we do not need to chain like you would normally see. You're just going to go right into that very first stitch. So if you're working on the bottom like this, you're going to flip it over and work into that very first stitch. And to do a slip stitch, you're just going to go under those 2 bars, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop, grab that loop, and pull right through the next loop. Don't pull on it too tight, because when you come back to do another slip stitch row and it's too tight, it's a little difficult for your hook to go through those stitches. So we're just going to slip stitch across, pulling our working yarn through that loop, just like that, going under both bars. Then you're going to turn your work. You're not going to do any more chaining, and now you're going to be working into these stitches right here. Okay, so we're going to fold it down, and you're going to see these little stitches right here. I'm going to go under both of those bars, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop, pull up a loop. I'm going to go under these 2 right here. Now this one is a little bit difficult, because if you made your stitches too tight, it's going to be difficult to try and get your hook underneath those 2 bars. So try to keep your tension loose as you're doing this. We have one more at the very end here. And there we are. And that is what the slip stitch looks like. You can practice this over and over again to see how many rows you can get, or just to kind of get your tension going. This one is a really good one to start practicing on, so that way if you ever want to make a project with it, that would be really interesting, and then that way you can have that practice that you're looking for. So that is how you do the slip stitch. Next one that we're going to learn is going to be the single crochet. So let's grab our hot pink yarn and let's get started. Okay, so I already did the 5 foundation single crochets. If you need a quick reminder, just rewind the video back to the beginning where we were doing it with the slip stitch. So in order to do a single crochet, as you can see in this pattern right here, a single crochet is going to be these 2 little bars right here, and then there is another one right there. It looks like a knot on top of it. So that is how you're going to be counting your single crochet rows. Is this bar, and then you have this bar right here. That is one single crochet. The next one up is going to have the same thing. Kind of looks like a V-stitch with kind of like a rope around it. And then same thing up here. Single crochet, and then there's your stitches right above it. So let's get that started. So with a single crochet, instead of a slip stitch where you didn't need to do any chaining, we are now actually going to chain 1. Okay, we're going to work in that very first stitch, and yes, I did 5 foundation single crochets. So you're going to go in the stitch, grab your working yarn, and pull up a loop. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to grab that working yarn and pull through both loops. And that is how you form the foundation single crochet with the 2 V stitches and the stitch on the top. Go into the next stitch under the 2 bars like this. Grab your working yarn and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Grab your working yarn, pull through 2. This is a good stitch to learn. It's very quick, very easy once you get a flow of it. And it works up pretty fast if you have thicker yarn like I'm using here. With a little bit thinner yarn like this one, may not work up very fast. So that is how you do the single crochet. And to do the second row, you're just going to grab your yarn and make 1 chain. Turn your work, go back into that first stitch, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops, grab your working yarn and pull through 2. Now the reason why you make that first chain is to get the height of your stitch that you're trying to work. Plus it also helps to keep a track of your rows, just like this one right here. And it makes kind of like a really neat edging. Okay, so I'm just going to single crochet across this row, just like this, showing you how each stitch is done. Now, counting single crochets can be difficult. This is where a row counter comes into place to stitch markers. Okay, so I have already done the 5 foundation single crochets. Normally when people do a half double crochet, they are going to chain 2. I am not going to chain 2. I am only going to chain 1. The reason why I'm only chaining 1 is because that will give you a less bulky side finish here. As you can see, there's not too many holes on the side here. Whereas if you do a chain 2, you're going to see a big bulk coming out of your side. And if you want more cleaner sides like this one, chain 1 for the half double crochets. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go right into this very first stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go into that stitch under the 2 bars, grab our working yarn and pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to grab our working yarn, we're going to pull right through all 3 stitches. That is a half double crochet. Yarn over, go under the 2 bars, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook, grab your working yarn, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. This one is a very easy stitch. Works up very quickly. It is very nice, very decorative, and a lot of people like using the half double crochets. This one is a very quick one to learn. Now I will tell you, with the single crochets, you will not use a lot of yarn. With half double crochets, you are going to be using a little bit more yarn than with a single crochet. With slip stitches, you will not use a lot of yarn either. So these are other things that you also want to take into consideration. How much yarn am I using with each of these stitches? So again, in order to do the third row, chain 1, turn your work, yarn over, go into that stitch, grab your working yarn, pull up a loop, 3 loops, grab your working yarn, and pull through all 3 loops. When I figured out about this half double crochet stitch, I started using this one in a lot of my projects. So I am just going to half double crochet all the way to the end. Now we're at the very end and we have this very last stitch, and it's kind of funky because it's kind of like rounded, so you know that that is your very last stitch. So you want to go into it and grab your yarn. I would suggest doing is counting your stitches as well to make sure that you always have the same count. When you're first starting out in crocheting, sometimes you may miss that last stitch and have 4 stitches left and keep going and going and going until you have 1 stitch left and not realizing what happened. You skipped that very last stitch at the end. So always make sure to count your stitches when you're first starting, so that way you always know if you have the right amount of stitches. As you get further into it and you practice more and more, you won't have to be counting these stitches over and over for every single row. Okay, so that one is half double crochet. The very next one that we're going to be doing is going to be double crochet. And the reason why that one is called half double crochet is because you're doing a half of a double crochet. So let's grab our yarn and let's learn how to do the double crochet. So now we're going to learn the double crochet. I already did my 5 foundation single crochets. So now I'm going to chain 1. Normally when you do a double crochet, you're going to see people say chain 3, chain 4. If you chain and you're starting a double crochet, you're going to count 4 stitches from the hook. So 4 chains from the hook to make a double crochet. I'm alleviating all of that. If you would like to, you can do all of that. It's not too fun to crochet into chains. I like the foundation single crochet because now I have stitches that I can double crochet into, half double crochet or single crochet, and it's a lot easier to see than trying to crochet into a chain. So we're going to chain 1, and again, as you can see, I have these really nice straight edges, whereas a chain 3 is going to make all of this nice and bulky, and it's not going to look very good. And a lot of times when you are sewing any type of garment and you have these bulky 3 chains sticking out of your crochet, it's going to pretty much pull on your crochet like this, and it's not going to look very good. So I'm teaching you a very easy way to alleviate these problems in the future. So in order to do a double crochet, you are going to yarn over like we did in the half double crochet, go under the 2 bars, grab your working yarn, and pull up a loop. Now we have 3 chains on our loop. In the half double crochet, you would go through all 3 chains. We're not going to do that. This is a double crochet. You're going to grab your working yarn and only pull through 2 of those loops on your hook. Then you're going to have 2 loops on your hook. Grab your working yarn and pull through those last 2. That is how you do a double crochet. I'm going to do it one more time. So yarn over, go into the stitch, grab your working yarn, pull up, 3 loops on your hook, grab your working yarn, pull through only 2 of those loops, 2 more loops, grab your working yarn, pull through both loops, double crochet. The double crochet is going to use up more yarn. So if you're going to make anything with the double crochet, you are going to want more balls or more skeins when doing a project. For example, if you are doing a blanket and the blanket pattern calls for 5 balls, you are going to want to add 2 more balls to that 5. That way, if you're doing a double crochet, that way you always have more yarn than you need to finish whatever you need in your blanket, such as a border, or if you want to do some appliques such as flowers to little cartoon characters, if you want to crochet those. So we're at the end, and we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And that chain 1 also alleviates you from skipping this chain. When you chain 3, that's already going to be your double crochet. So you're going to skip this first chain and go into the next chain. And I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to chain 3. So I'm going to put 2 more chains on here. Now as you can see, that chain is now your double crochet. You're going to skip this first stitch right here. And then you're going to yarn over and go into that second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And this is what I was talking about. As you can see, it's sticking out. And as you crochet, you're going to keep having this little 3 chain sticking out of your work. You're going to have to, when you come back around, double crochet into the top of the 3rd chain, which is this one right here. And it doesn't look very nice. So I'm going to show you that. So we're going to double crochet across like this. And grab some more yarn. And we're almost there. Okay, so when you get to the edge here, you're going to see another one of those. It's like a waterfall. And you're going to have a stitch right here on the end. So you're going to go right into that stitch. That's your chain 1 from the previous row. And that is what it looks like compared to this side. Now I'm going to double crochet and come back and show you what that looks like when we double crochet into that chain 3. Okay, so I ended up making that chain 3 at the top of the first row, double crochet 3 across. Now I'm at the chain 3 right here. So I'm going to double crochet right into that top stitch, that top chain of the chain 3. And I'm going to double crochet right into it. And this is what it looks like. So pretty much what you're having here are these big massive holes compared to this one down here. As you can see, I don't have these big massive holes. I just have the double crochet. So I alleviated that problem by chaining 1 instead of chaining 3. And it doesn't look very good. So when you chain 1, you can alleviate these chain 3s. And when you're sewing these together with a garment, you don't have it pulling on it like this. And then you have another big massive hole where I can put my finger right through. Double crochet is very nice. It works up very quick and very easy. It is your choice what you would like to do, if you'd like to do the chain 3 or if you would like to do the chain 1. Okay, so that ends the 4 different types of stitches that I showed you: slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. Please leave a like down below, and if you'd like, please comment on the video. And also, if you want to see more, please subscribe. And next time I will see you with a project. So have a lovely